video, we will demonstrate how case management and visualization tools can help you to build a case against fraudsters in the healthcare space. We will follow a forensic analyst, Carly, and a fraud investigator, Rich, who use fraud analysis and investigation tools to investigate fraud committed by a healthcare provider named Jordan Dunlap. Out of prepayment reviews, several of Dr. Dunlap's claims appeared to be fraudulent, and this resulted in a high overall fraud risk score for Dr. Dunlap. The high fraud risk score out of the detection engines triggered an investigation. Rich and Carly will now investigate the provider and determine the scope of the fraud. We'll start off the demo with senior investigator Rich, who is going to log into the case management client to look for any important investigation items generated by the fraud detection engine. He finds 4 items and he sorts them by risk score. The high risk score item deserves his attention and he picks the work item regarding Dr. Dunlap. The case manager screen that pops up is highly customizable and is composed of widgets that display information that is important for the investigation. On the bottom of the screen, Rich finds some related cases, which are prepayment reviews that have also been conducted in the case management tool. On the right side of the screen, a folder structure contains various types of documents with information regarding Dr. Dunlap. Rich opens the document that was generated by the fraud detection engine to find out why this investigation case was generated in the first place. One of the other documents in the case is a report card, which lists behavior observed from the claims submitted by Dr. Dunlap. Rich studies this and annotates one of the items on this document to highlight something that he thinks is important for the team to know. The annotation that he creates will only be visible in this case by Carly and himself. This document was added by Carly and Rich wants to reach out to her to discuss it. He can do that using the integrated instant messaging capability. In his chat, Rich will also inform Carly that he will create a task for her to investigate if Dr. Dunlap is acting on his own or if Dunlap is just one of the players in a fraud ring. There are different types of investigation tasks. Tasks can be predefined and started manually, as you see here, but they can also start based on an event, such as a new document being filed. As we will see later, there's even a capability to define the steps of a task on the fly. Let's now switch to Carly, who is the analyst in the Dunlap investigation. Carly spends most of her time in the analysis tool that allows her to perform social network analysis, to identify who else Dr. Dunlap may be working with when he's committing fraud, discover the clinics, providers and other entities involved in the network, the location of those entities, and relationships between various transactions, such as claims. The analysis tool is tightly integrated into the case management system, and new analysis details can be written to the investigation case anytime as long as Carly has a work item for one of the tasks in her in-basket. Carly finds the Dunlap case in the case management plugin on the left side of her screen. She looks at one of the notifications which indicates that the Dunlap case was recently updated. She opens the case details and finds the name of the clinic and the reason why the fraud detection engine has initiated this investigation. Carly then realizes that she will need to create a new task for one of her colleagues because she needs to review all the recent claims from the San Miguel clinic. She starts creating a new custom task which she can do without even having to redeploy the solution. She sends this off to her colleague who is a clinical reviewer. She puts a deadline on this first step of the task and then creates a second step which will return this item to herself to see the results of the analysis. All task details and events are captured in the case history log. Both Rich and Carly will be able to review the case history, including this custom task, in the case visualizer, and they will be fully prepared for any audits. Carly's colleague works in the same analysis tool as Carly uses, and uses the content analysis capability to extract details from the claims that were filed by various providers. While she is investigating Dr. Dunlap, she finds that Dr. Dunlap and some other doctors are prescribing a significant amount of oxycodone to their patients. Carly can extract these details from the claims and related documentation and pull this into the analysis tool. Carly will now start to create a chart that will visualize the various relationships between Dr. Dunlap, the clinics he works for, the claims he has filed, and other providers in his network. First, she selects Dr. Dunlap from the repository and does a filtered expansion to discover all the clinics that were listed on the claims from Dr. Dunlap. As she zooms into the network, she finds that one of the clinics in this tree is the clinic listed in the alert that triggered this investigation. Carly expands the chart further and now displays all the claims, doctors, and other organizations surrounding the San Miguel clinic. As Carly completes her analysis, she now has a chart that shows Dr. Dunlap in relation to the San Miguel Medical Group, two other providers working for that same clinic who also have filed fraudulent claims in the past, and also an unknown medical director named Roger Dalton, who manages all these providers. The tool indicates that there is a close relationship between all these entities. Carly decides to add this chart to the investigation case. As Carly adds this information, the investigator will be notified that the case has been updated. He will find the chart that Carly added to the case analytics folder. Carly will also add a comment to the case indicating that she believes that the unknown director Roger Dalton, who manages these three providers committing fraud, will need to be the focus of this investigation. Before Carly hands the case back to Rich the investigator, she verifies the address of the clinic through the Google Earth integration in her analysis tool. She zooms in to the location in Google Earth and finds that this is not the location of the San Miguel clinic, but rather the address of a FedEx office. That is obviously a major concern, and Carly adds a comment about this to the investigation case. Let's now switch back to Rich, the senior fraud investigator who has continued to work on the case while Carly conducted her analysis. And Rich may have executed some other predefined or custom tasks. The case management tool has features to gather meeting notes and maintain a checklist, which may have helped Rich in his work. Rich sees a notification, which he may have received in his email or in the case client, indicating that Carly has finished her analysis. He reviews the 3 comments which were added by Carly and also the chart that Carly added to the case. Rich adds an annotation to draw the team's attention to Carly's comment about Roger Dalton, the senior director of a potentially phantom medical clinic. Rich wants to get a good insight into the history of the investigation and looks at the task details in the case visualizer. He can see details of tasks and what events took place during the investigation, such as comments being made or documents being filed in one of the folders. He can zoom in the timeline to get a more detailed view on the events on a specific day of the investigation. Rich believes that he has gathered sufficient evidence to hand the case over to a district attorney. He will use a case packaging feature and select all case details that will be packaged in a zip file. Rich can select from case properties, documents that were added to the case, other cases that are related to this investigation, and self-defined case properties. When he's done, a PDF document will be generated to summarize all the details that Rich has included in the zip archive. This completes this demo.